I swear on my mother's grave, I saw him, not his face, not his hands, just the way the dust moved when he stepped, the way the leaves shivered when he passed. It started when the village war broke out. I was just a fisherman's son, not a fighter. But when the enemy raided, no one had a choice. They burned huts, took food, and left bodies in the streets. We were losing. One night, after another defeat, the elders sat in silence. That's when old Baba Okeke spoke. "He will come," he said. "He only fights for the desperate." Nobody asked who he was. They just nodded, like they already knew. The next battle came at dawn. We stood at the riverbank, spears shaking in our hands. The enemy charged, screaming. But then, something changed. Men fell, not ours, theirs, one by one, as if something unseen was among them. A man grabbed his throat, choking on nothing. Another dropped his sword, eyes wide with terror. The horses reared up, sensing what we couldn't see. Then I saw it, the dust shifting unnaturally, footprints forming out of nowhere, the hair twisting like heat waves. The enemy panicked. Some ran, some froze, some dropped to their knees. In moments it was over. The ones who survived fled and never came back. We searched for him, the one who saved us. But there was no one. No footprints led away. No shadow lingered. Baba Okeke only smiled and said, "He was here." Nobody questioned it after that. Even now, years later, I wonder, was he a man? A spirit? A ghost of a warrior from before our time? I don't know. But I do know this. He was real. And he was watching. For weeks after the battle, the village was different. Quieter. Not out of fear, out of something else. A knowing. Nobody spoke about the invisible warrior, but we all felt him. Some said he still walked among us, unseen. Women swore their cooking pots moved when they weren't looking. Hunters returned with more meat than they set traps for. Once, a child fell into the river, and before anyone could react, he was back on shore, coughing up water. I didn't talk about what I saw, not at first. Then one night, I found Baba Okeke sitting outside my father's hut. He was staring at the ground, tracing something in the dirt with his finger. A symbol, one I had seen before, on the old war drums, the ones buried long ago. He let you see him, didn't he? Baba Okeke asked, without looking up. I swallowed hard. Not him, just the signs. That's enough, Baba Okeke said, more than most. I sat beside him. The night was heavy, the air thick with things unsaid. Who is he? I finally asked. Baba Okeke found me later that day. You saw the tracks, he said. I nodded. Then you know. I did. The invisible warrior was still watching, still protecting. And if he ever came for me, whether as a friend or as something else, I would never see him coming. Years passed, and I tried to forget. I married, had children, became a fisherman like my father. Life was peaceful, but peace never lasts forever. One night, I woke to the sound of footsteps outside my hut. Not one person, many. I reached for my spear, heart pounding. My wife stood beside me, but I pressed a hand to her shoulder, telling her without words to stay quiet. I stepped outside. The village was too still, the air too thick. The moon cast long shadows, and in those shadows I saw them, figures moving between the huts, silent and careful, strangers, raiders. They thought they would catch us sleeping, thought they would take our food, our people, our lives. They thought we were unguarded. Then it happened. A sharp whistle cut through the air. Like one of the raiders dropped his knife, gripping his arm like something had struck him. Another turned, confused. Then his feet were kicked out from under him. They started shouting, but they didn't know what they were fighting. Neither did we. All we saw was the dust shifting, the air rippling, shadows moving without reason. A man reached for his sword and staggered back, his face twisted in shock. He swung wildly at nothing. Another grabbed his throat, like invisible hands were squeezing the life from him. The raiders panicked. Some ran, some fought the empty air, some just dropped to their knees, trembling. In moments, they were gone. Not a single villager had lifted a weapon. I stood there, gripping my spear uselessly, staring at the chaos. My hands were shaking. And then, just for a second, I felt it. A presence behind me. A shift in the air. Not a touch, not a sound. Just the weight of someone standing there, watching. I turned, but there was nothing.